So the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef has been the talk of the entire hip hop space for the last 2 months. This beef is easily the biggest beef of all time, with the most eyes ever being drawn to a hip hop beef that we've ever seen. But it comes with a few issues. And before we dive right in, remember to like the video and subscribe. So ever since the story of Adidon, it feels like people always expect some big expose whenever it comes to a beef. This beef is having like a ton of people expect new information about the other person to drop in order for one to win. Every track that drops when push-ups drop, people were expecting some big expose, and same thing with Euphoria, and it just kept going. And yes, these guys were making some great, some not great, but some big allegations towards each other that can really, tarnish their reputation and legacy. But they weren't coming with any evidence, so there was. You can see that they were both trying to live up to that standard that feels like was set forth, that you have to expose something big about the other artist. It can't just be like, two artists don't like each other and just going back and forth, pure rapping, calling the other one whack, whatever. It always has to be something new being exposed, and something that's just gonna, turn everybody against this person or just really mess with this person's career. And I think that it just makes it less fun. I feel like, not less fun, I guess, like there's a lot more anticipation that way. But at the same time, it's like you're expecting so much that the bar is set so high that just a regular diss track isn't going to suffice in a beef. Like the Quavo diss track, it didn't have any crazy information or allegations. He sort of brought up points that everybody knew, and he was just, going in on Chris Brown with things that everybody already knew. But people were calling it whack and saying that it wasn't a good response, when, I mean, to be fair, he was sort of just saying the same thing he said on the first diss track. But it's just a regular average diss track. But I think when it comes to now, you have to have something that nobody knows about. You have to tarnish the other person's character, and you have to really expose them to the world in a negative light in order for you to win a rap beef nowadays. And I just don't feel like that's something that can be lived up to in every beef. Just leads into my next point, that this beef specifically with Kendrick and Drake, we're getting both parties just lying and sort of flexing their lies and seeing who can lie more and have the bigger punch. And like I said, they're trying to live up to that expectation of you have to come with new info, and they're not coming with any receipts of this, so it's hard to take any of this at face value. I'm not going to take the allegations that Drake has a kid at face value. I'm not going to take the allegations of Dave Free being the father of one of Kendrick's kids at face value, so on and so forth. I'm not going to take any of these at face value without there being proof, because it seems like they're just trying to build a narrative about each other and just run with it. So we don't know what's true and what's not. People obviously have done deep dives on both sides trying to figure it out, and that's what sort of is ruining this beef. It's not like a hip-hop competition anymore. It's more of like a fact checker, and people are trying to see what's true, what's not, and whoever wins is going to be set on who came with the real allegations, essentially the allegations that are proven to be true. And I just don't think that makes for a good hip-hop beef, because it's just it's just people digging for information and bringing out negative things about the other person to light that are resurfacing whatever. I feel like just making it a big game of sort of hide and seek for the fans just isn't really fun. I mean, a lot of fans engage with it and they're really diving deep into it, so I guess I can see that aspect of it. And neither party has thrown out any substantial proof. I know there was that Ebony account with all the Drake's items on Twitter. I made a video about that, if you guys haven't checked that out already. And that account sort of got exposed for who he is. Some guy named Mark, I believe. Shout out to King Jared on Twitter. He was in my last video too, or he was mentioned in my last video. He did some exposure and figured out who the person behind the account was, and the person sort of just auctioning the stuff away and hasn't really said anything really since they got exposed for who they were. And we can't even validate his information, because he was sort of just yapping on Twitter about a bunch of stuff and never really giving any of the information. He was sort of feeding into the Kendrick narrative, feeding the fire of the Kendrick fans, and it just takes out any of the competitiveness, because both of them know that the other party's fans, or just all the fans in general, are going to do a lot of digging and sort of take their, not really focus on the lyrics themselves, but more so focus on the bars where they're exposing something. People expect next day responses. It's been silent a few days and people are saying that this beef is over, when I think it's far from it. One of the points that people made is that Top on Twitter said that this beef is over, whatever. Why would y'all believe Top? Like, Top owns Kendrick's back catalog, and Kendrick's back catalog has been up like over 50, 60, 70% these past few days, according to chart data on Twitter. And well, not even these past few days, these past few weeks, months. So who owns Kendrick Lamar's back catalog? Top and TDE. So wouldn't Top benefit from this beef, because all of Kendrick's back catalog that was released from when he was signed to TDE is going up in streams as well, so he's eating off of this too. So why would you believe that this beef is over from Top, a person that he's not signed to anymore and a person who directly benefits from this beef continuing to go forward? I understand that they're still close or whatever, but it doesn't seem like it's over. Just because you got a few days between a response doesn't mean that this has died down completely. Like, Nas took 6 months to drop Ether, you know? So I think this is far from over. If anything, I think Drake is going to come with a response, because the hard part 6 was sort of him just addressing the fans and addressing Twitter and all the allegations. It wasn't really him going back at Kendrick. So I think the next move is Drake dropping another song and trying to respond to Not Like Us. But I think with what's going on with the shooting outside of his house, obviously that's going to hinder the response as quickly. And we just got like 5 tracks in a week, so people are just expecting it to go boom, 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 boom. There's no real time to digest every song and fully appreciate the beef that's happening now. This is literally the biggest beef of all time, but there's no time to sort of savor the moment and really appreciate it with everything happening so fast. So I think, the fans should be more appreciative of the time off and the time of it being quiet. And I think this beef is still, going on. These guys truly hate each other. There's no way that this is just going to stay. Like, obviously, Kendrick didn't respond to the Hard Part 6 because it wasn't really him addressing Kendrick too much. It was more him addressing the fans. And also, Not Like Us is a hit. Like, it's number 1 right now. Obviously, he's going to savor that and just let that keep going up rather than take the attention away from it and drop another track. Just, let it ride out number 1. Let it be the song of the summer. And Drake will probably drop a summer type banger soon too. So we'll see. I think this beef is still far from over. I do think, these issues sort of not ruin it entirely, but definitely make it a little less fun, especially the sort of just lying and, trying to throw out the bigger allegation towards each other. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think there's any issue in this beef? What side are you guys on? Who do you expect to win this beef? I'd like to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. Remember to like the video and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.